Hello and welcome back to Offseason Outlook. Today we are going to be talking Kyler Murray and what the Cardinals and Mike LaFleur, newly hired head coach, should do with him. So, analyzing this last season, the Cardinals started their first 5 games with Murray before he missed the rest of the season due to injury, pretty much a soft benching. They went 2-3 with Murray over that period and then 1-12 with Brissett. But you can't just take that at face value. It is alarming how much their offense improved in those games with Brissett, and also how much Brissett was able to open up the field for pass catchers such as Michael Wilson, and how much Trey McBride improved under Brissett. With Murray as a starting quarterback, Trey McBride was averaging 55 yards a game, with Brissett 80.3. But it was really Michael Wilson who came on, only 10.4 yards a game with Kyler Murray. He never really developed into a big target for him. And he exploded, came onto the scene with Brissett for the rest of the season, averaging 80.8 yards a game with Brissett. Now, I know 5 games is a very small sample size, but losing your starting quarterback and having your PFF offensive grade improve 5 points, about 5 points, as it did. It went from about 63 to 68, is not a great sign, especially when that starting quarterback has a big contract and a huge cap hit. Looking at the contract, Murray has a $52.6 million cap hit in 26, $43.5 million cap hit in 27, and in 28 he has a $46.3 million cap hit that is a team option. His base salary is pretty tradable. The Cardinals will just have to eat some dead cap, but they do have the space to do that. His base in 26 is 22.8, in 27, 19.5, and obviously the team option in 28. I think he's going to get traded, and I think that is the right decision, and let me tell you why. Mike LaFleur, with his amazing success that he had with the Rams offense, now I know he wasn't the play caller, but he was heavily involved. They were number 1 in EPA per play and success rate in 13 personnel. They put so much emphasis on the Corum, Kyren Williams backfield split that took a lot of pressure off of Stafford. LaFleur constantly was putting in 2 tight end sets to expand an under center play action approach that shifted Stafford's responsibility more from his arm, from his mind. Stafford was 37 years old and he had lingering injuries. And they basically I don't want to say they gave him an MVP season. Stafford was incredible, but the coaching staff put him in an incredible position to succeed. And the quarterback they needed was a quarterback who made the right decisions, who could stay comfortable in the pocket, can make every single throw on the field. With 13 personnel, you look at the Rams had more success with 13 personnel than anyone else in the league. And you look at the other teams that had a lot of success and used it a lot. And you have the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers. The Cardinals used it a lot with Jacoby Brissett. The Colts with Daniel Jones, and the Bears with Caleb Williams. Every quarterback I just listed is either a veteran or is known for having an incredible mind for the game like Caleb Williams, almost a phenom mind for the game. And Kyler Murray has just never been that guy. He's always had to rely on his athleticism in college, at Oklahoma, and getting into the NFL. I mean, you can't look past the fact that this guy is 5'10", a scrambling quarterback. He likes to get out of the pocket. He's not a guy who can really sit in the pocket and deliver over the field. It's just not his play style. And with these 2 tight end sets that they can run with Elijah Higgins and Trey McBride, it just doesn't make sense to be paying so much for Kyler Murray, especially when his demand across the league is going to be pretty high. The phenomenon of the redevelopment of quarterbacks, I mean, you look at Baker Mayfield, you look at Sam Darnold, that's a real thing in the NFL. Teams are no longer giving up on highly drafted quarterbacks who might not have had the best fit in their initial situation, and Kyler Murray definitely did not have the best situation set up for him in Arizona. He came in, Cliff Kingsbury, that didn't work out. Jonathan Gannon ended up not working out. He never really had a great system around him. I mean, they had weapons, don't get me wrong. Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't really played up to his potential, and part of that I do put on Kyler Murray. Their defense sucks. They have probably the worst defense in the NFL, so that wasn't helping him out either. But listen, there's going to be demand for Kyler Murray, and I think that the Cardinals in this new regime should capitalize on his demand, probably being the highest it will be right now, and seek to trade him. I mean, ever since his 2021 season where he threw 24 touchdowns and 10 picks and they made the playoffs, 22, not exactly his fault. He threw 14 touchdowns, 7 picks, and tore his ACL. Then 23 lingering injuries, 10 touchdowns, 5 picks, and then a full season in 2024, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Look, those are not abysmal stats. Teams are going to be able to write a narrative about Kyler Murray, about how he had lingering injuries, he did not have a good system around him, and he still put up pretty good stats. He and Trey McBride last season, probably the best quarterback tight end duo, just looking at stats in the NFL. People are going to look at Kyler Murray as a guy with a lot of not untapped potential, but yeah, if you can get the right scheme around him and you can get the right team around him, they can see him as a Sam Darnold turnaround, a Baker Mayfield turnaround. I had no doubt in my mind. That is why, hopefully, if I was the GM of the Cardinals, I would be trading him to the Cleveland Browns. I think they have a lot of capital that they'd be willing to give, and I think that they're the most needy for a quarterback. I know they're still lingering with the Deshaun Watson situation. I expect them to just eat that at some point and let him go. Listen, Deshaun Watson is not going to be serviceable in the future. He's just not. That is not an option. I also think that newly hired head coach Todd Monken does a really good job with elusive quarterbacks like he did with Lamar Jackson. In Baltimore, I know he was rumored to go to the New York Giants with Harbaugh to go do his work with Jackson Dart as play caller there. Obviously, he got the head coaching gig, so he didn't go. But Kyler Murray fits that prototype of a quarterback. The Browns also haven't gone full tank mode. They didn't trade Myles Garrett. They didn't trade Denzel Ward. And some other teams that I would be looking at have gone full tank, which is why I don't think that they would be willing to go for Kyler Murray, like the Jets and trading Quinnen Williams and all that. So I don't think, and they also have to deal with Justin Fields. So I think the Browns are the best trade destination. And I would look to get a second round pick. Trading Murray, they'd have to eat $17.9 million in cap. Listen, the Cardinals have cap space. They're not paying anybody. And they're probably going to be in a position going into next season where they're looking to tank for a Julian Sain, a Dante Moore, an Arch Manning, a Lenore Sellers. So I would not be concerned about getting talent and players back. I want draft capital if I'm LaFleur in this new regime. So that begs the question, what do they do at quarterback for the 26th season? I think they can't really go wrong with a couple of options here. I think you could run it back with Jacoby Brissett. I know he went 1-11. But he threw for 23 touchdowns and 8 picks, and the offense was serviceable. And they might want to be going 1-11 if they're running it back with Jacoby Brissett because they want to be picking high in the draft and they want to get their guy. So I feel like, Jacoby Brissett, he's making $9.2 million next year, and then he's an unrestricted free agent. I'll take a year of service from Jacoby Brissett to set me up to take my franchise guy. But what I'm really interested in would be a Malik Willis signing. Malik Willis grew exponentially under Mike LaFleur's brother, Matt LaFleur, with the Packers, so you already have that connection. My only concern with Malik Willis is I would not give him more than a 2-year contract, and here's why. I think if you give him more than a 2-year contract and it doesn't work out, you're going to be hindered by that big money and bad culture bringing in a franchise guy, and he was untradeable. But listen, worst case scenario in a 2-year contract, even if you're paying him a lot, like 30, his market value right now is 2 years, $66 million. So let's say he comes in 2 years, $66 million. In the first year, he lights it up. He's great. Awesome, you got your guy. You don't have to worry about the draft. You can extend him. It's a Sam Darnold situation made in heaven. He doesn't work out. That's fine. You got 1 year left on his deal. You're already losing Brissett, so you're going to need someone to back up your new franchise guy. He doesn't work out. Team doesn't play well. That's fine. You draft your franchise guy. You only have him on the books for one more year. I know that's a $33 million backup quarterback, but listen, Kyler Murray's barely played the last 3 years, and you've been paying him 50. So I would just give him the chance. My only problem is he'd probably want to be securing a longer deal and maybe a more desperate team like the Dolphins and maybe even the Browns, even though they don't have any cap space. I don't think the Colts are going to move on from Daniel Jones. I just don't think they really can, even though maybe they should. The Vikings would definitely be interested in bringing Malik Willis to compete with J.J. McCarthy. Not sure how much of a competition that would be. I don't know how much belief I have in McCarthy going into next season. But yeah, I'd say target Malik Willis, trade Kyler Murray. I think that's the best path forward for the Cardinals. This has been Offseason Outlook. Thank you for listening.